I'm thankful my ex-boyfriend outed my secret. The notification sound from my phone made my stomach drop. Another comment on the post Derek had made 3 hours ago, the one where he'd screenshot pages from my private journal and shared them with the entire internet. Emma's been living a lie this whole time. Thought you all should know who you're really friends with. That's what he'd written above the photos of my most private thoughts, scrawled in my own handwriting across pages of my leather-bound journal. The one I'd hidden under my mattress for 8 months, the only place I'd felt safe enough to write the words I couldn't say out loud. Asterisk, I think I'm gay. I think I've always been gay. I don't know how to tell anyone. Asterisk. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through the comments under his Facebook post. 63 and counting. I'd broken up with him exactly 4 hours ago in the parking lot of Mel's Diner on State Street, finally ending our 2-year relationship that had felt like slowly suffocating for the past year. I should have known he wouldn't take it well. Derek had always been controlling, checking my phone, questioning where I'd been, making snide comments about my friends. But this felt like nuclear warfare. He'd taken my deepest secret, the one I'd been wrestling with in those journal pages since last December, and weaponized it against me. The first few comments were from his buddies. Asterisk, dude, that's messed up. Asterisk, asterisk, she played you, man. Asterisk, asterisk, girls like that are the worst. Asterisk. But then I saw one from my coworker Jessica. Asterisk, Emma, if you need someone to talk to, I'm here. What Derek did was cruel and wrong. Asterisk. And another from my college friend Mike. Asterisk, this says way more about Derek's character than yours, Em. Love you no matter what. Asterisk. My phone buzzed with a text from my older sister Rachel. Asterisk, just saw Derek's post. What an absolute piece of shit. Are you okay? Calling you in 5 minutes. Asterisk. I stared at her message, tears blurring my vision. Rachel and I weren't particularly close. She lived 2 states away and we maybe talked once a month. But there it was, support from a corner I hadn't expected. Another buzz. This time from my mom. Asterisk, Emma honey, please call me. We need to talk. Asterisk. My heart hammered against my ribs. My parents went to Cornerstone Baptist Church twice a week. Dad had opinions about alternative lifestyles that he shared loudly during family dinners. I'd been terrified of this exact scenario for months, them finding out before I was ready, before I'd figured out how to have that conversation on my own terms. But Derek had stolen that choice from me. He'd ripped open my private thoughts and displayed them like evidence in a trial where I was both defendant and victim. My phone rang. Rachel's name on the screen. Emma, are you there? I'm here, I whispered. Listen to me very carefully, she said, her voice fierce. Derek is a vindictive little weasel who just committed relationship terrorism. But honey, you're free now. You're finally free. I hadn't thought of it that way. Through my panic and humiliation, I hadn't considered that maybe this devastating exposure might actually be the push I'd been too scared to give myself. What do you mean, free? I asked Rachel, wiping my nose with the back of my hand. I mean, you've been carrying the secret around for almost a year, right? Writing in that journal, probably making yourself sick with worry about how to tell people. And now it's out there. The worst thing you were afraid of happening just happened, and you're still breathing. I walked to my apartment window and looked down at the street. Mrs. Chen from 2B was walking her ancient poodle like she did every evening at 6:47 p.m. The world was continuing to spin normally while mine felt completely upended. Rachel, Mom and Dad are going to disown me. You know how they are about. About what? About you being happy? Look, they might need time to adjust, but they love you. And if they don't come around, then that's their loss, not yours. My phone was buzzing constantly now with notifications. I put Rachel on speaker and opened Facebook again. The comment count had jumped to 91. But something unexpected was happening in that comment thread. Sarah from my spin class had written, Asterisk, Derek, you're disgusting. Emma, you're brave and beautiful exactly as you are. Asterisk. My neighbor Tom posted, Asterisk, imagine being so fragile that your ex figuring out who she really is makes you want to humiliate her publicly. Grow up, Derek. Asterisk. Even my old high school friend Melissa had chimed in, Asterisk, this is really gross, Derek. Emma didn't deserve this. Also, I'm bi and have been for years, so welcome to the club, babe. Asterisk. Rachel, people are defending me. Of course they are. What Derek did is indefensible. He violated your privacy in the cruelest possible way. I kept scrolling. A few of Derek's friends were still making gross comments, but they were being outnumbered by people calling them out. My coworker James had written an entire paragraph about consent and privacy. 3 different people had shared resources for LGBTQ+ support groups in our area. Then I saw it. A comment from my Aunt Linda, my dad's sister, the one who always brought homemade cookies to family gatherings and asked about my job. Asterisk, Emma, sweetheart, your uncle, and I love you no matter what. We suspected for a while that you might be struggling with something. We're proud of you for living your truth, even if this isn't how you wanted it to come out. Derek should be ashamed of himself. Asterisk. I actually gasped out loud. What? Rachel asked. Aunt Linda jest, she said she's proud of me. And that she suspected. See? Maybe you weren't hiding it as well as you thought. Maybe people who love you were just waiting for you to feel safe enough to tell them. My phone started ringing through the Facebook app. Another call coming in. I looked at the name and my stomach clenched again. Oh God, it's Mom. Answer it, Rachel said firmly. Whatever happens, happens. But Emma? You're not alone in this. Look at all those comments. Look at how many people just stepped up to defend you. I stared at Mom's name flashing on my screen. In 2 years of dating Derek, she'd never called me twice in one evening. My finger hovered over the accept button. I can't. What if she surprises you? I thought about Aunt Linda's comment. About Jessica offering to talk. About my sister calling me within minutes of seeing the post. Maybe Rachel was right. Maybe the worst thing that could happen had already happened. And maybe, somehow, it was going to turn out to be the best thing too. I took a deep breath and answered Mom's call. Hi, Mom. Emma Catherine Mitchell, you tell me right now if you're okay. Her voice was tight, but not angry, worried. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes trying to figure out what to say to you. I don't know. I'm scared. The honesty tumbled out before I could stop it. That boy, she said, and I could hear her pacing. Mom always paced when she was upset. That boy violated your privacy in the most despicable way possible. I don't care what's going on between you two, there is no excuse for what he did. I blinked hard. This wasn't the conversation I'd been bracing myself for. Mom, did you read what he posted? A long pause. I did. Your father did too. My heart stopped. Dad. Conservative, church-going, voted straight Republican since 1987. Dad had read my journal entries about questioning my sexuality and wondering if I'd ever actually been attracted to any of the boys I dated. Where is he now? I whispered. He's in the garage. He's been out there for 30 minutes, and I can hear him throwing things around. But Emma, honey, he's not angry at you. He's furious at Derek. That couldn't be right. Mom, you don't understand. Those journal entries, they say things about me that what? That you've been trying to figure out who you are? That you've been scared and confused? Emma, you're 24 years old. Your father and I would be more concerned if you weren't asking yourself hard questions about your life. I slumped onto my couch, completely thrown off balance. But Dad always says things about gay people. At dinner, when stuff comes on the news. Your father says a lot of things. But when it comes to his daughter, when it comes to you being hurt and humiliated by some vindictive little boy. She trailed off. He called Derek's mother 45 minutes ago. He what? Oh yes. Had a very pointed conversation with Patricia about how she raised her son. I haven't seen your father that angry since Tommy Hendricks gave you that black eye in 3rd grade. I remembered that. Dad had shown up at the Hendricks house the same evening, and Tommy had apologized to me the very next day with tears in his eyes. My phone buzzed with another notification. Then another. The Facebook post was still generating comments, but something else was happening now. I switched over to check. Derek had posted again 20 minutes ago, * everyone needs to calm down. Just showing people who Emma really is. *. But this second post was getting destroyed. 43 comments in 20 minutes, and every single one was tearing him apart. My old manager from the bookstore had written, * who Emma really is? You mean someone brave enough to question herself and grow as a person? Someone who deserves privacy and respect. Yeah, we can see exactly who she is, and it's beautiful. *. Even people I barely knew were joining in. Kevin from my apartment complex, * bro, this ain't it. Delete this and apologize. *. Then I saw something that made me sit up straight. Derek's own cousin Ashley had commented, * Derek, this is disgusting even for you. I'm genuinely embarrassed to be related to you right now. Emma, I'm so sorry. *. Mom, are you still there? I'm here, sweetheart. People are standing up for me. Like, people I haven't talked to in years. Even Derek's family members. Of course they are. What that boy did was wrong, and people can see that. My call waiting beeped. I glanced at the screen, Jenna Martinez. We'd been casual friends in college but hadn't spoken since graduation 2 years ago. Mom, can I call you back? Someone else is calling. You call me back whenever you need to, okay? And Emma? Your father wants to talk to you too, when you're ready. I switched to Jenna's call, my head spinning. Emma. Oh my god, I just saw what happened. Are you okay? I honestly don't know anymore. Listen, I don't know if this helps, but I came out to my family last year. It was terrifying, but it was also the best thing I ever did. And what Derek did to you is absolutely vile, but Emma, honey, you're free now. There was that word again. Free. Free doesn't feel like the right word when I'm terrified to leave my apartment, I told Jenna, walking to my kitchen and opening the fridge out of nervous habit. Same leftover Chinese takeout from 3 days ago stared back at me. I know it's scary now, but... My phone started buzzing again. Text messages were flooding in faster than I could read them. I put Jenna on speaker and started scrolling through them. Unknown number, * saw what happened on Facebook. This is Morgan from your yoga class. Coffee tomorrow if you need someone to talk to? *. My cousin Tyler in Portland, * Derek's a piece of shit. Also, pretty sure half our family already knew you were gay. You're not as subtle as you think, winking face *. Then one that made my blood run cold. Derek himself, * you're really going to let all these people think I'm the bad guy? Call me. We can fix this. * Jenna, Derek just texted me. He wants to fix this. Do not respond to him. Emma, I'm serious. Block his number right now. But before I could do anything, my buzzer rang. Someone was downstairs at the building entrance. I walked to the intercom, my heart pounding. Hello? Emma, it's Derek. We need to talk. Jenna heard him through the phone. Do not let him up there. Do not. Derek, go home, I said into the intercom. Come on, Em. 5 minutes. People are making me look like some kind of monster online. You posted my private journal on Facebook. I was upset, okay? You blindsided me with that breakup. After 2 years, I deserve to know the real reason. Through my window, I could see him standing by the building entrance, pacing back and forth. He was wearing his black hoodie, the one he knew I used to think was cute on him. Even now, he was trying to manipulate me. The real reason is that you check my phone, you get jealous when I hang out with friends, and you made me feel like I was suffocating, I called down. But sure, make this about you. Just let me come up so we can talk privately instead of broadcasting our business to the whole neighborhood. I looked down at him again. Mrs. Chen was back outside with her poodle, clearly pretending to check her mailbox while actually watching our drama unfold. Derek waved at her sarcastically. I'm not letting you up, Derek. Go home. Fine. But Emma, you should know that more stuff might come out if we can't resolve this like adults. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? I mean, I know a lot about you. 2 years worth. Things that aren't in that journal. Jenna was making frantic gestures at her phone screen, even though I could only hear her voice. Emma, he's threatening you. That's harassment. Like what? I asked Derek, though I already knew I shouldn't engage. Like how you've been texting with that girl Ashley from your work happy hour. The bartender. Screenshots of those conversations might be interesting too. My face went hot. Ashley and I had exchanged numbers 3 weeks ago, and yes, we'd been flirting over text. Nothing explicit, just friendly. Maybe more than friendly. It was innocent, but Derek was right that it wouldn't look great in context. You went through my phone? Your password is still your mom's birthday, Em. You never changed it. Of course he'd been snooping. I thought about all the times he'd borrowed my phone to check the weather or see what time that movie starts. All those opportunities to scroll through my messages. Derek, leave. Now. Or I'm calling the police. You won't call the cops on me. But as I stood there looking down at him, I realized something had shifted. 6 hours ago, he would have been right. 6 hours ago, I would have been too scared of escalating things, too worried about what people would think, too conditioned to keep the peace at my own expense. But 6 hours ago, my biggest secret hadn't been plastered all over social media. 6 hours ago, I hadn't watched dozens of people rush to defend me. 6 hours ago, I hadn't heard my conservative father call Derek's mother to give her a piece of his mind. I picked up my phone and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? Hi, I need help. My ex-boyfriend is harassing me outside my apartment building and threatening to share more of my private information online. Derek's eyes went wide when he heard me through the intercom. Emma, what the hell? Ma'am, is he trying to get into the building? He was. I refused to let him up, and now he's threatening to post more private screenshots if I don't come down to talk to him. We'll send an officer over. What's your address? I gave him my information while watching Derek pace more frantically below. He was gesturing wildly now, clearly frustrated that his intimidation tactic had backfired. Emma. Jenna's voice came through my phone speaker. Are you okay? I heard you call the police. I'm okay. Actually, I think I'm better than okay. And I was. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like I was standing up for myself instead of trying to manage someone else's emotions. It was terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. Derek's voice crackled through the intercom one more time. You're making a huge mistake, Em. This is going to get worse for you. But looking down at him, this man who'd controlled and manipulated me for 2 years, who'd violated my privacy in the cruelest way possible, I finally saw him clearly. He looked small. The police arrived faster than I expected, 8 minutes according to the timestamp on Derek's increasingly frantic texts. Officer Martinez was a woman about my age with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor that immediately made me feel safer. So he posted your private journal entries without permission, she asked, sitting across from me in my living room while her partner talked to Derek downstairs. Screenshots of them, yeah. And now he's threatening to post private text conversations too. I showed her Derek's messages on my phone. He's been going through my phone for who knows how long. She nodded, taking notes. That could constitute harassment and potentially revenge porn, depending on the content. Have you documented everything? I hadn't even thought about documentation. Should I be taking screenshots? Absolutely. Before he has a chance to delete anything. She handed me her card. I'd also recommend changing all your passwords tonight and maybe staying somewhere else for a few days. The idea of hiding out felt wrong, though. Like letting Derek win. My phone rang, Rachel again. I'd forgotten she was probably still worried. Thank God. I saw on Facebook that people were saying police were at your building. Wait, what? I opened Facebook, and sure enough, someone had posted in our neighborhood group, *cops at the Meridian Apartments on Oak Street. Anyone know what's happening? *. Officer Martinez raised an eyebrow. Social media moves fast these days. My stomach dropped as I scrolled further. Derek had posted again, 30 minutes ago, having the cops called on me for trying to have a conversation with my girlfriend. Some people can't handle the truth. But the comments on this post were even worse for him than before. 67 responses in half an hour, and they were brutal. His own coworker had written, *ex-girlfriend, Derek. You posted her private journal online. What did you think would happen? Someone named Katie replied, can't handle the truth? The truth that you're a creep who violates people's privacy? Even his brother had commented, Derek, delete this and get some help, man. You're embarrassing yourself. People can see right through him, I told Officer Martinez, showing her the post. Good. That'll help if you decide to pursue a restraining order. She stood up. My partner's getting his information now. We're going to tell him to stay away from you and this building. If he contacts you again tonight, call us immediately. After the officers left, I sat in my quiet apartment feeling oddly calm. My phone was still buzzing with notifications, but the panic from earlier had faded into something else. Clarity, maybe. I opened my laptop and started taking screenshots of everything, Derek's posts, the threatening texts, even some of the supportive comments. If this was going to be a battle, I wanted ammunition. Then I did something that surprised me. I opened Facebook and started typing my own post. A lot of you have seen what Derek posted about me today. He violated my privacy in the worst possible way, and I won't pretend that didn't hurt. But I want you all to know that the person he tried to humiliate, the woman questioning her sexuality and trying to figure out who she really is, that's someone I'm proud to be. Thank you to everyone who stood up for me today. You gave me courage I didn't know I had. I stared at the words for 10 minutes before hitting post. The response was immediate. Likes and heart reactions started flooding in within seconds. Jessica from work commented, this is beautiful and brave, Emma. Then something unexpected happened. My phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Hello? Emma? This is Derek's mom, Patricia. I owe you an enormous apology. Mrs. Patterson? I sat up straighter on my couch, completely caught off guard. Derek's mother had always been polite but distant during our 2 years together, the kind of woman who asked about my job at family dinners but never seemed particularly interested in the answer. Please, call me Patricia. And please let me say how mortified I am by what Derek did today. Your father called me earlier, and rightfully so. I could hear the exhaustion in her voice, like she'd aged 10 years in the past few hours. I don't really know what to say, I admitted. This whole day has been surreal. I'm sure it has. Emma, I want you to know that Derek's father and I raised him better than this. What he did, posting your private thoughts, threatening you outside your building, that's not who we taught him to be. Through my window, I could see Mrs. Chen walking her poodle again. Third time today. She was definitely keeping tabs on the drama. Has he done this before? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know the answer. To other girlfriends? A long pause. There was an incident in high school. A girl named Stephanie. He shared some private photos after she broke up with him. We made him delete everything and apologize, and we thought he'd learned his lesson. My stomach clenched. Photos? Nothing happened to the girl, thankfully. Her parents handled it quietly. But Emma, when your father called me tonight and told me what Derek had done to you, I realized we didn't teach him anything. We just taught him to be more careful about getting caught. I opened my laptop and saw that my Facebook post now had 127 likes and 43 comments. People were sharing their own coming out stories, offering support, even posting resources for LGBTQ+ counseling in our area. What Derek had intended as my public humiliation was turning into something entirely different. Patricia, can I ask you something? Did you know? About me, I mean? She laughed softly. Honey, mothers know things. The way you looked at our neighbor's daughter when she'd come over to swim. How you never seemed quite present when Derek would talk about your future together. You're a lovely girl, but you always seemed like you were performing happiness rather than feeling it. That hit me harder than expected. If Derek's own mother could see what I'd been hiding, how many other people had been waiting for me to figure it out? Derek doesn't know I'm calling you, Patricia continued. He's locked himself in his room like he's 16 again. But Emma, I need you to know that he took photos. My blood went cold. What kind of photos? Of your journal. More pages than what he posted. He showed them to his father and me an hour ago, trying to get us to take his side. Said you'd been lying to him for months and he had proof. I thought about all those late-night journal entries, the ones where I'd written about my growing attraction to women, about feeling trapped in a relationship that felt more like an elaborate performance. The entries where I'd admitted I'd never actually enjoyed sex with Derek, that I'd been faking it for 2 years. How many photos? At least a dozen. Emma, some of those entries are very personal. Very intimate. If he posts them. The room started spinning slightly. He wouldn't. Would he? 2 hours ago, I would have said no. But after today? After he called the police harassment and threatened you outside your building? I don't know my son anymore. My call waiting beeped. Ashley, the bartender Derek had mentioned earlier. Patricia, I need to take another call. But thank you for warning me. Emma? If Derek contacts you again, please call me immediately. Day or night. I'll handle it. I switched to Ashley's call, my hands shaking slightly. Emma. Oh my god, are you okay? I just saw everything on Facebook. You saw the posts? Everyone's seen them. But Emma, that's not why I'm calling. Her voice dropped lower. Derek messaged me 20 minutes ago. He sent me screenshots of our text conversations. Asked if I wanted to see what Emma's really like. The world tilted sideways. He'd actually done it. He'd followed through on his threat. What did you tell him? I told him he was a psychotic creep and blocked him immediately. But Emma, if he's messaging me, he's probably messaging other people too. My phone started buzzing nonstop. Text after text, notification after notification. I put Ashley on speaker and started scrolling through the messages with growing horror. Unknown number, *K, this is Marcus from Derek's gym. He sent me some screenshots and said you might be interested in hooking up. This is weird as hell, but I thought you should know. *. Another unknown number, Derek Patterson gave me your number. Said you were looking for girls to experiment with? I'm not interested but figured you should know he's spreading your business around. *. Then one that made my stomach drop completely, Emma, this is David Chen from the law firm downtown. Derek contacted me through LinkedIn with some very inappropriate messages about you. I think you need to know what he's doing. *. Ashley, he's messaging everyone, I whispered. Random guys, professional contacts, people I don't even know. What a sick freak. Emma, you need to document everything. Screenshot all of this. But I was already 3 steps ahead, my fingers flying across my phone screen. Every message, every notification, every piece of evidence that Derek was systematically trying to destroy my reputation. My phone rang. Rachel. Emma, I'm getting calls from people I haven't talked to in years, she said without preamble. Derek somehow got my number and sent me a message asking if I knew you were recruiting other family members. What the hell is wrong with this guy? He's lost his mind. Rachel, he's messaging everyone, coworkers, random guys, even professional contacts. He's trying to make it seem like I'm some kind of predator. This has to be illegal. This is harassment on a massive scale. I was about to respond when my buzzer rang again. My heart stopped. If that's Derek again, I swear to God, I started toward the intercom. Emma, it's your father. Dad. Here. At 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, standing outside my building. I buzzed him up without thinking, then immediately panicked. I hadn't seen my father since Christmas dinner 3 months ago, where he'd spent 20 minutes complaining about the gay agenda being pushed in schools. Now he was about to walk into my apartment knowing I was gay, having read my most private thoughts about sexuality and attraction. 2 minutes later, he knocked on my door. I opened it to find him holding a box of my favorite cookies from Miller's Bakery and looking more uncomfortable than I'd ever seen him. Hi, Dad. Emma. He stepped inside and looked around my apartment like he was seeing it for the first time. We need to talk. I hung up with Rachel and Ashley, promising to call them back. Dad set the cookies on my kitchen counter and sat heavily on my couch, running his hands through his graying hair. Your mother told me about the phone calls you've been getting tonight, he said finally. That boy is calling people we've known for 20 years, spreading lies about you. What kind of lies? Doesn't matter. They're lies. His jaw was set in a way I remembered from childhood, when he was absolutely furious but trying to control it. Emma, I may not understand everything you're going through, but I know right from wrong. What Derek is doing is wrong. My phone buzzed with another text. This time from my old boss at the bookstore. Derek Patterson contacted me with some very disturbing messages about you. I blocked him and wanted you to know he's clearly unhinged. Asterisk. I showed Dad the message. His face darkened. How many people has he contacted? I've gotten messages from at least 12 different people in the past hour. Dad, he's telling them I'm some kind of sexual predator, that I was recruiting people while we were dating. He's completely twisting everything. Dad stood up abruptly and started pacing, the same way Mom did when she was upset. Where does this boy live? Dad, no. The police already talked to him tonight. The police talked to him about harassing you at your building. They don't know about this new development. He gestured at my phone, which was buzzing again with another message from someone Derek had contacted. I'll call them back in the morning. I just need to get through tonight. Dad stopped pacing and looked at me directly. Emma, I need to tell you something. When I read those journal entries earlier, when I saw how scared you were, how alone you felt, that broke my heart. I stared at him, unable to speak. I know I've said things over the years. Things that probably made you feel like you couldn't talk to us. That's on me, not you. My phone rang. Officer Martinez. Ms. Mitchell? We've been getting calls about Derek Patterson contacting multiple people with harassing messages about you. We need you to come in tomorrow morning to file additional charges. The next morning arrived with 17 new messages on my phone, all from people Derek had contacted overnight. I barely slept, checking my phone every hour as more evidence of his harassment campaign piled up. At 6:43 a.m., my downstairs neighbor Mr. Rodriguez had texted, asterisk someone named Derek sent me explicit messages claiming to be you. Very disturbing. Calling the police. Asterisk. Dad had spent the night on my couch, insisting he wasn't leaving me alone while that lunatic is on a rampage. I found him in my kitchen at 7 a.m., already dressed and making coffee with the same grim determination he'd shown when dealing with insurance companies after Mom's car accident last year. 23 people, I told him, scrolling through the fresh batch of messages. He contacted 23 people overnight, Dad. Some of these I don't even know how he got their information. What's he telling them now? I showed him the message my old college professor Dr. Williams had forwarded me. Derek had sent her a long, rambling email claiming I'd been sexually harassing female students and that she should warn other women about me. He'd included screenshots of completely innocent text conversations I'd had with classmates 2 years ago, trying to make them look predatory by removing context. He's creating an entirely fictional narrative, I said, feeling sick. He's taking normal conversations and twisting them into something sinister. Dad's knuckles were wide around his coffee mug. This isn't just harassment anymore, Emma. This is character assassination. He's trying to destroy your reputation, your career prospects, everything. My phone rang. Officer Martinez, right on schedule. Ms. Mitchell, we need you down here as soon as possible. Derek Patterson spent the night contacting people and apparently crossed some serious legal lines. We've had 4 different people call us about the messages he sent them. What kind of legal lines? Defamation, harassment, possibly criminal impersonation. According to several witnesses, he was sending messages claiming to be you, propositioning people for sex. That's identity theft. I met Dad's eyes across the kitchen table. This had escalated far beyond a vindictive ex-boyfriend posting journal entries. Derek was methodically trying to destroy every aspect of my life. At the police station an hour later, Officer Martinez spread out printed screenshots across the interview room table like evidence in a murder case. The scope of Derek's overnight campaign was staggering. He'd contacted coworkers, family friends, people from my gym, even the customer service representative from my bank who'd helped me with a loan application last month. How did he get all these contacts? Officer Martinez asked. My phone, I realized with growing horror. He had access to my phone for 2 years. My contacts, my social media, my email accounts where I saved business correspondence. He could have been copying information for months. She nodded grimly. We're seeing this more often. Digital stalking, systematic harassment campaigns. The good news is that Derek made a crucial mistake around 3 a.m. She slid another screenshot across the table. This one was different, a Facebook message Derek had sent to my cousin Tyler in Portland, but the timestamp showed it was sent from Derek's own account, not an impersonation attempt. He got sloppy after hours of messaging people. Started sending things from his real account instead of fake ones. This message here? He explicitly threatens to destroy Emma's life until she learns her lesson. That's criminal harassment with clear intent. My hands were shaking as I read Derek's exact words. Asterisk, your cousin thinks she can humiliate me and get away with it. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what kind of person she really is. This is just the beginning. She'll learn not to mess with me. Asterisk. There's more, Officer Martinez continued. Derek's mother called us an hour ago. Apparently he came home around 4 a.m. and told his parents he was going to finish what he started today. She found him in his room this morning with printed photos of more journal pages and a list of your coworkers' names. My stomach dropped. He's planning to go to my office? She seems to think so. Emma, we're issuing an emergency restraining order right now, and we're going to arrest Derek for criminal harassment. But I need to ask, is there anywhere else you can stay for a few days while this gets sorted out? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from my manager at the marketing firm where I worked. Asterisk Emma, someone claiming to be your ex-boyfriend called our main office this morning asking for your schedule. Very inappropriate. Can you come in early to discuss? Asterisk. Then another from my coworker James. Asterisk girl, there's some crazy dude in the parking garage asking people about you. Security is handling it, but you might want to stay away today. Asterisk. Derek was already there. At my workplace. Escalating again. Officer Martinez was already reaching for her radio when my phone rang with an unknown number. Don't answer that, she warned, but I was already looking at the caller ID, Patterson, Derek. He's calling me right now. Put it on speaker, she instructed. Let's hear what he has to say. I answered the call with trembling fingers. Emma, we need to meet. Today. Face to face. Derek's voice was different, manic, energized in a way that made my skin crawl. Derek, there's a restraining order. There's no restraining order yet. I checked. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to meet me at Mel's Diner where you ambushed me yesterday, and you're going to fix this mess you created. Officer Martinez was already typing rapidly on her computer, presumably tracking the call. I'm not meeting you anywhere, I said as steadily as I could manage. Then everyone you work with is going to get a very interesting email in about 10 minutes. Copies of journal entries that didn't make it into my first post. They're really personal stuff, Emma. About your fantasies, about what you think about when you're alone. The blood drained from my face. I'd written things in that journal that I'd never intended for anyone to read, intimate thoughts, private explorations of my sexuality that would be devastating if shared publicly. Derek, please. 1 hour. Mel's Diner. Come alone, and we can work this out privately. Don't show up, and I send everything to your boss, your coworkers, and that pretty bartender you've been texting with. The line went dead. Officer Martinez looked up from her computer. We got him. Call trace to the parking garage of your building downtown. Units are already en route. But my phone was already buzzing with a new notification. Derek had tagged me in another Facebook post, asterisk meeting my ex-girlfriend in 1 hour to clear the air. Stay tuned for updates on this crazy situation. Asterisk. He was forcing my hand, backing me into a corner where any choice I made would result in more humiliation. For the first time since this nightmare started, I wondered if Derek might actually win. Officer Martinez was still coordinating Derek's arrest when my phone started ringing nonstop. Not unknown numbers this time, people I actually knew, calling one after another with increasing urgency. First was Ashley, the bartender. Emma, Derek just posted something new. It's really bad this time. Then my coworker James, don't go on Facebook right now, okay? Just don't. But I was already opening the app, my stomach in free fall as I saw Derek's latest post, timestamped just 3 minutes ago. Since Emma won't have an adult conversation with me, here's what really happened in our relationship. Turns out I was dating someone who was using me as a cover while she figured out her true self. Here are the journal entries that show what she really thinks about men. Below the text were 4 photos of journal pages I'd never seen him take pictures of. Pages from last month where I'd written about feeling trapped, about wondering if I'd ever actually been attracted to any man, about questioning whether I was gay or just broken. But worse than that, he'd highlighted specific sentences with a red marker, taking my private thoughts completely out of context. One highlighted section read, "Sometimes I wonder if all men are just obstacles to overcome." In my journal, I'd been working through my feelings about compulsory heterosexuality, questioning why I'd spent so many years forcing myself to date guys when it never felt natural. But Derek had stripped away all that context, making it look like I was some kind of man-hater. Another highlighted portion, "Derek tries so hard in bed but I just lie there counting ceiling tiles, waiting for it to be over." That one made my face burn with humiliation. It was true, I'd written it during a particularly difficult night when I was trying to understand why physical intimacy with him felt like a chore. But seeing it displayed publicly, highlighted like evidence in a case against me, felt like being stripped naked in front of strangers. 47 comments already, Officer Martinez observed, looking at my phone screen. Emma, this post is getting shared. Fast. She was right. 3 shares had become 12 in the time it took me to read Derek's caption. My most private thoughts about sexuality, relationships, and my own body were spreading across social media like wildfire. But then something unexpected started happening in the comments section. My sister Rachel had commented within minutes, "Derek, you absolute garbage human being. These are private thoughts from someone trying to understand herself. You should be in prison." Dr. Williams, my old college professor, had written, "As an educator, I find this young man's behavior deeply disturbing. These appear to be private journal entries from someone working through complex personal questions. Sharing them without consent is a profound violation." Even more surprising was a comment from Derek's own father, "Son, you're mother, and I didn't raise you to violate someone's privacy like this. Take this down immediately and get help." My phone rang again, Patricia, Derek's mother. "Emma, I'm so sorry. We took his computer and phone away an hour ago, but apparently he'd already scheduled this post from his work laptop. Mrs. Patterson, he's destroying me piece by piece." "No, honey, he's destroying himself. Look at those comments. Look at how people are responding." She was right. For every one of Derek's friends making crude jokes, there were 5 people calling out his behavior. My neighbor Mrs. Chen had somehow found the post and commented, "This boy has been harassing this sweet girl for days. Someone needs to stop him." The yoga instructor from my Thursday night class, "This is digital abuse, plain and simple. Emma, you deserve so much better than this. Even people I didn't recognize were defending me. Imagine violating someone's privacy this badly and thinking you're the victim." Officer Martinez's radio crackled, Unit 47 to dispatch. Subject Derek Patterson is in custody at the downtown location. Resisted arrest, currently being transported. I felt a wave of relief so intense my knees nearly buckled. They got him? They got him. Emma, Derek Patterson is going to be charged with criminal harassment, defamation, and violation of a restraining order. His little social media campaign just became evidence in a criminal case. My phone buzzed with a text from my father, "Coming to pick you up. Your mother is making your favorite dinner. You're staying with us until this mess gets sorted out." Another text from Ashley, "Derek's post has backfired spectacularly. Everyone can see what a psycho he is. Also, want to get coffee this weekend? When you're ready." For the first time in 36 hours, I started crying, not from fear or humiliation, but from something that felt almost like gratitude. Derek had tried to destroy me by exposing my deepest secrets and fears. Instead, he'd shown me exactly who my real supporters were and revealed his own character so completely that even his own family was taking my side. As I walked out of the police station with the restraining order paperwork in my hand, I realized Derek had accidentally given me the greatest gift possible, the truth about who I was, who loved me, and how strong I could be when I stopped hiding. 3 days after Derek's arrest, I was finally starting to feel like I could breathe again. The restraining order was in place, his social media accounts had been suspended pending the criminal investigation, and the constant buzzing of my phone had slowed to a manageable trickle. I'd taken the rest of the week off work and was staying at my parents' house, sleeping in my childhood bedroom under the glow-in-the-dark stars I'd stuck to the ceiling in 7th grade. That's when Patricia called with news that made my blood run cold. "Emma, Derek made bail this morning," she said, her voice tight with worry. "His father posted the $5,000 bond against my wishes. But that's not why I'm calling." I sat up in my narrow twin bed, already dreading whatever came next. "We found something when we were cleaning out his room." A folder on his laptop labeled Emma Insurance. "It has photos of documents, your birth certificate, social security card, bank statements. Things he must have photographed when he was at your apartment." My hands started shaking. "What kind of bank statements?" "Everything, honey. Your savings account, the loan application you mentioned, even what looks like your credit report. Emma, I think he's been planning this for months." The room started spinning slightly. Derek hadn't just violated my privacy in a moment of anger, he'd been systematically collecting ammunition to use against me. For how long? And what was he planning to do with financial documents? "There's more," Patricia continued. "We also found printed emails between Derek and his friend Marcus from the gym. They were discussing something called a reputation management plan. Emma, I think Derek had help with this campaign against you." My phone started buzzing with an incoming call. Unknown number with a local area code. "Patricia, someone else is calling." "Can I?" "Don't answer unknown numbers," she said quickly. Derek got his phone back when he made bail. He could be using different numbers. But my voicemail notification popped up immediately, and something told me I needed to listen to it. I put Patricia on speaker and played the message. "Emma, this is Detective Sarah Kim with the Financial Crimes Unit. We need to speak with you immediately about suspicious activity on your credit report. Please call me back at 555-0147 as soon as you get this message. Financial Crimes Unit." My stomach dropped as the implications hit me. Patricia, Derek had access to my personal documents for 2 years. My social security number, my bank account information. "Oh God," she whispered. "Emma, you need to check your credit report right now." I was already opening my laptop, logging into my bank account with trembling fingers. At first everything looked normal, my checking account balance was what I expected, my savings untouched. But when I navigated to my credit monitoring page, I saw something that made me gasp out loud. A new credit card account had been opened in my name 4 days ago. The same day Derek posted my journal entries. Capital One Venture card with a $8,000 limit, and it was already maxed out. Patricia, he opened a credit card in my name. $8,000. But that wasn't all. As I scrolled further, I found 2 more accounts, a personal loan from Wells Fargo for $12,000, approved 3 days ago, and a PayPal credit line for $3,500 that had been opened yesterday while Derek was in jail. Someone else was involved. Someone had been helping him access these accounts and make these applications while he was in custody. My phone rang again, Detective Kim calling back. "Ms. Mitchell? I've been trying to reach you about fraudulent accounts opened in your name. We've identified at least $23,500 in unauthorized credit applications, all initiated in the past week. Detective, my ex-boyfriend had access to my personal documents, and his mother just told me he had help from friends. This is connected to his harassment case. We suspected as much. Emma, can you come in today? We've discovered that someone used your identity to make several large purchases online, electronics, gift cards, even what appears to be plane tickets. This isn't just harassment anymore, it's organized identity theft." After I hung up with Detective Kim, I called Officer Martinez to update her on this new development. She listened grimly as I explained about Derek's insurance folder and the fraudulent accounts. "Emma, this changes everything," she said. "If Derek was planning financial crimes while conducting his harassment campaign, he's looking at federal charges now. Identity theft across state lines, those plane tickets Detective Kim mentioned suggest interstate commerce fraud." My parents had been hovering outside my bedroom door, and when I emerged to tell them what was happening, my mother's face went pale. $23,000? Mom sank into the living room chair. "Emma, that could ruin your credit for years. The detective said they can reverse most of it since we caught it early, but Mom." I showed her my laptop screen. "Look at what the money was spent on. The electronic purchases weren't random. Derek had bought a new MacBook Pro, an iPhone 14, a gaming setup, and nearly $4,000 in Amazon gift cards. But the most telling purchase was a plane ticket to Miami, departing tomorrow morning. He was planning to run. Dad, Derek bought a plane ticket with my stolen identity. He's trying to leave town." My father was already reaching for his phone. "I'm calling Detective Kim back. They need to arrest him again before he gets to that airport." But as I stared at the fraudulent purchase list, something else caught my attention. The Amazon gift cards, all $4,000 worth, had been sent to email addresses I recognized. Marcus from the gym, Tyler Johnson, Kevin Park. The same friends who'd been defending Derek in his Facebook comments. He hadn't just stolen my identity to fund his own escape. He'd used my stolen money to pay his accomplices. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Emma, this is Marcus. We need to talk before this gets out of hand. Meet me at Coffee Bean on 5th Street in an hour. Come alone." The same pattern Derek had used. The same manipulation tactics. But this time I knew exactly what to do. I forwarded the message to Detective Kim and Officer Martinez, then blocked the number. Derek's conspiracy was unraveling, and he was about to discover that the woman he tried to destroy was no longer the scared, compliant person he'd been manipulating for 2 years. The financial crimes investigation moved faster than I expected. By Thursday morning, Detective Kim had traced the fraudulent accounts to IP addresses at 3 different locations: Derek's apartment, the gym where Marcus worked, and a coffee shop downtown where Tyler Johnson apparently spent most of his unemployed days. "It's a small-time operation, but they were systematic about it," Detective Kim explained over the phone. Derek provided your personal information, Marcus handled the online applications from his work computer, and Tyler made the actual purchases to avoid detection. They split the proceeds through those gift cards. I was back at my own apartment for the first time since Monday, packing clothes to take back to my parents' house. The space felt different now, violated in a way that had nothing to do with Derek's harassment campaign. Knowing he'd been photographing my personal documents here, planning this financial scheme while I slept 10 feet away, made my skin crawl. Have you arrested them yet? I asked, folding my work clothes with mechanical precision. Marcus and Tyler were picked up an hour ago. Marcus broke immediately. Apparently Derek promised him $2,000 for helping with the credit applications, but Derek never paid him. He's cooperating fully now. My phone buzzed with a notification from my bank's fraud department. They'd reversed the Wells Fargo loan and were working with Capital One to close the fraudulent credit card. Seeing those accounts disappear from my credit report felt like watching bruises fade. But then Detective Kim said something that made me stop packing entirely. Emma, we haven't found Derek yet. His parents say he never came home after making bail yesterday, and that Miami flight was apparently a decoy. He bought 3 other tickets under different names, fake IDs we think he purchased with your stolen money. My stomach dropped. Different names? Michael Chen, David Rodriguez, James Patterson. The last one is particularly concerning since it's his real last name with a different first name. Shows premeditation. I walked to my kitchen window and looked down at the street. Mrs. Chen was outside with her poodle again, but today she had her son with her, a tall guy in his 20s I'd seen around the building. They were both scanning the area like they were looking for something. Or someone. Detective Kim, I think Derek might be watching my building. What makes you say that? I described Mrs. Chen's unusual behavior, how she'd been walking her dog more frequently, how she had her son with her today. She's been keeping an eye on things since this started. I think she sees something that's making her nervous. My buzzer rang just as I said it. I froze, my heart hammering against my ribs. Emma, don't answer that, Detective Kim said urgently. We have units in your area, but they're 15 minutes out. The buzzer rang again, then again. Long, insistent buzzes like someone was leaning on the button. I crept to my window and looked down. A man in a baseball cap and dark jacket stood by my building entrance, but I couldn't see his face clearly. He was turned away, scanning the street like he was watching for something. Then he looked up directly at my window. Even with the cap pulled low, I recognized Derek's face immediately. But something was different about him, thinner, more angular, with what looked like several days of stubble. He'd changed his appearance, but not enough to fool someone who dated him for 2 years. When he saw me in the window, he smiled and held up his phone, pointing at it in an exaggerated gesture. My phone immediately started ringing. Unknown number. He's here, I whispered to Detective Kim. Derek's outside my building right now, and he's calling me. Do not answer that phone. We have backup units 60 seconds away. Stay on the line with me and get away from the window. But Derek was already moving, walking calmly around to the side of the building where the fire escape was located. The same fire escape I'd pointed out to him 6 months ago when we'd been joking about how easy it would be for someone to break into the apartments on lower floors. He was going to try to get in through my neighbor's window. Detective, he's going to the fire escape. He knows how to get into this building. Units are pulling up now, Emma. Stay exactly where you are. Through my thin walls, I could hear Mrs. Rodriguez in two-way starting to shout in Spanish, angry, frightened words I didn't understand but recognized as alarm. Her dog started barking frantically. Derek had made it inside. Heavy footsteps in the hallway, moving fast toward my apartment. I grabbed my keys and phone, backing toward my front door as quietly as possible. 3 sharp knocks on my door. Then Derek's voice, artificially calm, Emma, I know you're in there. Let's finish our conversation. I pressed my back against the door, my phone still connected to Detective Kim. Through the thin wood, I could hear Derek breathing heavily, like he'd been running. Emma, I can hear you in there. Your phone is on, I can see the light under the door moving around. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Detective Kim's voice came through the speaker, units are in the building now, Emma. Keep him talking if you can. Derek, the police are here, I called through the door, trying to keep my voice steady. You need to leave before this gets worse. He laughed, but it sounded wrong, manic and bitter. Worse? Emma, you destroyed my life. I lost my job yesterday. My parents won't even look at me. All because you couldn't handle being honest about who you are. I could hear heavy footsteps in the stairwell now, multiple people moving fast. But Derek seemed oblivious to the sound. You know what's funny? He continued. I actually loved you. I was going to propose next month. Had the ring and everything. Then I find out you've been lying to me for our entire relationship, using me as some kind of experiment while you figured out you're gay. The footsteps were getting closer, but Derek's voice was getting louder too, more agitated. So I thought, okay, if Emma wants to play games, I can play games too. Marcus thought I was crazy when I told him about the financial stuff, but Tyler was all in. Said girls like you deserve to learn lessons. My stomach turned. They'd been planning this for weeks, maybe months. Derek, taking my money won't fix anything, I said, desperately trying to keep him focused on me instead of the approaching officers. You're just making everything worse. I'm not taking your money, Emma. I'm taking your future. Your credit is destroyed, your reputation is destroyed, and now everyone knows exactly who you really are. But even as he said it, I realized how wrong he was. Yes, he'd violated my privacy and stolen my identity. Yes, he tried to humiliate me publicly. But the aftermath had been the opposite of what he'd intended. My phone buzzed with a text from Ashley, coffee date tomorrow still on? Can't wait to hear how you're doing. Another from my coworker James, boss wants you to know your job is completely secure. Take all the time you need. Even one from my conservative Aunt Linda, Sunday dinner this week? Your uncle and I want to meet Ashley when you're ready. Derek had tried to isolate me, but instead he'd forced me into a community of support I never knew existed. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. Derek Patterson, this is the police. Step away from the door and put your hands where we can see them. I heard Derek's sharp intake of breath, then scrambling sounds like he was trying to run. But there was nowhere to go in the narrow hallway. Officers were coming from both directions. "He's got something in his hand," an officer shouted. "It's just my phone." Derek yelled back, his voice cracking with panic. "I was just trying to talk to her." More footsteps, then the sound of Derek being pushed against the wall. "Derek Patterson, you're under arrest for violating a restraining order, identity theft, and criminal harassment." Through my peephole, I could see 3 officers restraining Derek while a 4th read him his rights. He looked smaller than I remembered, diminished somehow by his own desperation. As they led him away in handcuffs, Derek caught sight of my door and called out, "This isn't over, Emma. You can't hide behind the police forever." But looking at my phone full of supportive messages, thinking about my parents making dinner for Ashley and me tomorrow night, I realized Derek was wrong about that too. I wasn't hiding anymore. 2 weeks after Derek's second arrest, I thought the nightmare was finally over. The fraudulent accounts had been closed, my credit report was clean, and Derek was sitting in county jail awaiting trial on federal charges. I'd moved back into my apartment, started sleeping through the night again, and even had my first real date with Ashley, dinner at that new Italian place downtown where we talked for 3 hours and I felt genuinely happy for the first time in months. That's when Detective Kim called with news that made my hands go cold. "Emma, we have a problem. Derek's friend Tyler Johnson made a deal with prosecutors yesterday, and what he told us changes everything." I was at my desk at work, finally feeling productive again after taking a week off to deal with the legal fallout. My coworker James had just brought me coffee and a chocolate croissant from the bakery across the street, his daily "you survived a psychopath" gesture that had become a routine. "What kind of deal?" I asked, stepping into the empty conference room for privacy. "Full cooperation in exchange for reduced charges." "Emma, the identity theft scheme was bigger than we realized. Derek didn't just target you, he's been running this scam for over a year with different victims." My stomach dropped. "Different victims?" "3 other women, all ex-girlfriends. Stephanie Morrison from his high school, remember his mother mentioned her? Derek stole $15,000 from her credit after she broke up with him 2 years ago. Then Jennifer Walsh, someone he dated briefly last spring. And a woman named Crystal Torres who he met on a dating app." I sank into one of the conference room chairs, my legs suddenly unsteady. 4 of us total? Tyler kept records of everything, spreadsheets with victim information, copies of fake IDs Derek created, even recordings of Derek bragging about the scheme. "Emma, Derek called you his final project. He'd been planning your financial destruction since last December." December. That was when I'd started writing in my journal about questioning my sexuality, when I'd begun pulling away emotionally from our relationship. Derek had sensed me slipping away and started planning his revenge months before I even worked up the courage to break up with him. "Detective Kim, what happened to the other women?" "That's what's concerning us. Stephanie Morrison filed a police report 2 years ago, but Derek covered his tracks better then. She couldn't prove he'd taken her documents. The case went nowhere, and Stephanie ended up filing for bankruptcy. Jennifer Walsh never even realized her identity had been stolen until we contacted her yesterday. My phone buzzed with a text from Ashley, "Lunch today? Found this amazing sandwich place near your office." Just seeing her name made me smile despite the horrible conversation I was having. "What about Crystal Torres?" I asked. Detective Kim paused, and the silence stretched long enough to make me nervous. "Crystal Torres died by suicide 8 months ago. Her family said she'd been struggling with depression after an abusive relationship, and her finances were completely destroyed. They found credit card statements in her apartment for accounts she'd never opened, totaling over $40,000 in debt." The conference room started spinning slightly. Crystal Torres had killed herself, and Derek's financial scheme might have been the final push that broke her. "Emma, Derek's pattern is escalating. With each victim, the financial damage got worse, and the harassment became more sophisticated. What he did to you, the public humiliation, the systematic reputation attack, that's new. Tyler thinks Derek was testing methods for something bigger." "Something bigger like what?" "We don't know yet. But Derek's cellmate says he's been getting visits from someone claiming to be his lawyer, except Derek's actual public defender hasn't been to see him in a week. Someone else is involved, someone we haven't identified yet." My phone started ringing through the conference room door. James knocked and peeked in. "Your mom's online too. Says it's urgent." I felt that familiar spike of panic. "Detective, I need to take this call from my mother. Something's wrong. Emma, be careful who you trust right now. If Derek has outside help, they might target your family too." I switched to Mom's call, my heart racing. "Emma, thank God. Honey, someone broke into our house last night." My mother's words hit me like a physical blow. "Broke into your house? Mom, are you and Dad okay?" "We're fine, honey, but Emma, they didn't take anything. They just went through our papers. Your father's office is torn apart, every file cabinet opened, documents scattered everywhere. But our jewelry, the electronics, even cash we keep in the kitchen drawer, none of that was touched." I gripped the conference room table, my knuckles turning white. "What kind of documents were they looking for?" "That's what's so strange. They focused on anything with your name on it. Old tax returns where we claimed you as a dependent, your college loan paperwork that we co-signed, even your high school transcripts we kept in storage. Emma, whoever did this was specifically looking for information about you." Detective Kim was still on hold on my other line. I could see her name flashing on my phone screen, waiting for me to return to our conversation about Derek's mysterious lawyer visits. "Mom, I need you and Dad to pack a bag and go stay with Aunt Linda for a few days. Right now." "Emma, you're scaring me. What aren't you telling me?" Before I could answer, James knocked on the conference room door again, his face pale with concern. "Emma, there's someone here to see you. Says he's from the district attorney's office, but he doesn't have an appointment and won't give his name to reception." My blood went cold. 2 unexpected visitors in one morning, someone rifling through my parents' house in the middle of the night, and now a mystery person at my office claiming to be from the DA. "Mom, call the police about the break-in right now. Don't wait. And then go to Aunt Linda's immediately. Emma Catherine Mitchell, you tell me what's going on this instant." I switched back to Detective Kim's line. "Detective, someone broke into my parents' house last night looking for documents with my name on them. And there's someone at my office right now claiming to be from the DA's office. Emma, get out of that building right now. Don't talk to anyone, don't go back to your desk, just leave immediately and call me from somewhere public. Through the conference room's glass wall, I could see a man in an expensive suit talking to our receptionist, Sarah. He was tall, probably in his 40s, with graying hair and the kind of confident posture that suggested he was used to getting what he wanted. But something about him felt wrong, the way he kept glancing around the office, how his eyes lingered too long on the employee directory by the elevator. James, did he show any ID to Sarah? She asked, but he said he'd prefer to discuss it privately with you. Emma, should I call building security? The man in the suit was walking toward the conference room now, having apparently spotted me through the glass. He smiled and raised his hand in a casual wave, like we were old friends meeting for lunch. I grabbed my purse and phone, switching back to Detective Kim. He's coming toward me right now. Emma, is there another way out of that room? The conference room only had one door, and the man was already standing outside it. Through the glass, I could see him mouth the words, just want to talk. He knocked gently on the door, 3 soft raps that somehow felt more menacing than Derek's aggressive pounding at my apartment. Ms. Mitchell? I'm Attorney David Chen with the District Attorney's Office. We need to discuss the Derek Patterson case. David Chen. The same name from one of Derek's fake IDs. My phone was still connected to Detective Kim, and I hoped she could hear everything. I'm sorry, but I'll need to see your credentials first, I called through the glass. The man's smile never wavered, but something shifted in his eyes. Of course. Though I should mention, we have some concerns about your safety. Derek Patterson has been making threats from jail, and we think you might need protection. James was hovering nearby, clearly sensing something was wrong. Behind him, I could see Sarah at the reception desk, phone in hand like she was ready to call someone. The man pulled out what looked like an official ID badge, holding it against the glass. But he kept his thumb positioned over the photo, and the text was too small for me to read clearly. Ms. Mitchell, there have been some developments in your case that we need to discuss immediately. Time-sensitive information about additional threats. Detective Kim's voice crackled through my phone speaker. Emma, the real DA's office has no one named David Chen. Get away from him now. The fake attorney Chen's smile faltered when I didn't immediately open the conference room door. Through the glass, I could see him glance toward the exit, calculating distances like Derek used to do when he was planning his next manipulation. Detective Kim, he's getting nervous, I whispered into my phone. And James is calling building security. Good. Emma, we've got units heading to your location now. Keep that door closed. But Chen was already moving, abandoning his fake friendly demeanor entirely. Instead of trying to force his way into the conference room, he turned and walked briskly toward our office's main entrance. Not running, that would draw attention, but moving with clear purpose. James stepped into his path. Excuse me, sir, security would like a word. Another time, Chen replied smoothly, pushing past him. That's when I saw something that made my blood freeze. As Chen reached for the elevator button, his jacket fell open slightly, revealing what looked like a manila folder tucked inside. Even from across the office, I could see my name written on the tab in Derek's distinctive handwriting. He had more documents. More pieces of my life that Derek had collected. Detective Kim, he's got files with my name on them. Derek gave him physical documents. We're 2 minutes away, Emma. Don't leave that room. But Chen had given up on the elevator and was heading for the stairwell. In 10 seconds, he'd be gone, taking whatever information Derek had provided and disappearing back to wherever he'd come from. I thought about Crystal Torres, the woman who'd killed herself after Derek destroyed her financially. About Stephanie Morrison filing for bankruptcy. About all the ways Derek's scheme had been allowed to continue because he kept slipping through cracks in the system. Not this time. I opened the conference room door and stepped out. David. Wait. He turned, surprised that I was actually approaching him. You said there were new threats against me? What kind of threats? His fake smile returned. Ms. Mitchell, perhaps we should discuss this somewhere more private. Like where? Your office? I was walking toward him now, my phone still connected to Detective Kim. Which floor of the DA's building do you work on? Chen's eyes darted toward the stairwell door, only 20 feet away now. Ms. Mitchell, I think there's been some confusion. The confusion is that you're not from the district attorney's office at all, are you? James was behind me now, along with Sarah from reception. Chen was outnumbered in a public space, exactly where Detective Kim had told me to get to. You're working with Derek Patterson, I continued, my voice getting stronger. You helped him steal from those other women, and now you're here to clean up loose ends. Chen reached inside his jacket, toward the folder, but also toward something else. Something small and dark that made James immediately step in front of me. Building security to the 3rd floor immediately, Sarah announced over the office intercom. 3rd floor, emergency situation. That's when Chen broke. Instead of maintaining his lawyer facade, he grabbed the folder from his jacket and threw it at me, paper scattering across the office floor like confetti. Then he bolted for the stairwell. But he was too late. The stairwell door opened just as he reached it, and Detective Kim stepped through with 2 uniformed officers. David Chen, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit identity theft and intimidation of a witness. As they handcuffed him, I knelt down and started gathering the scattered papers. Bank statements, credit reports, employment records, not just mine, but documents belonging to Stephanie, Jennifer, and Crystal too. Derek had been building dossiers on all his victims, and Chen had been carrying around evidence of their entire operation. One paper made me stop cold. It was a handwritten note in Derek's writing, Emma's parents, 47 Maple Street. Best access through back door. Financial documents in upstairs office. They'd been planning to rob my parents' house for weeks. Detective Kim looked at the note over my shoulder. Emma, Derek wasn't just trying to destroy you financially. He was building a network. Chen here was going to help him target other people in your life, family, friends, anyone Derek felt had supported you over him. I thought about Ashley, about my coworkers, about all the people who defended me on social media when Derek first posted my journal entries. He'd been planning to go after all of them. Is it over now? I asked, watching Chen get led away in handcuffs. It's over, Detective Kim confirmed. Derek's operation is finished. Tyler gave us everything, Chen's been arrested with evidence in his possession, and Derek's looking at serious federal time. As I walked back to my desk an hour later, James handed me my coffee, now cold, but somehow still exactly what I needed. So, he said, settling into the chair across from me, want to tell me how you went from hiding in a conference room to taking down a criminal conspiracy? I thought about Derek's original Facebook post 3 weeks ago, how it had felt like the end of the world. How I'd been terrified that everyone would see my private thoughts about questioning my sexuality and judge me for it. Instead, that violation had led to an outpouring of support that gave me strength I never knew I had. It had forced me to stop hiding from who I really was. And when Derek escalated his attacks, trying to destroy me financially and professionally, that same community had rallied around me again. My phone buzzed with a text from Ashley, saw the news about Derek's arrest on the local website. You're officially the most badass person I know. Still on for dinner tonight? Another from my mom, your father and I are so proud of you, sweetheart. See you Sunday for dinner with Ashley. Even one from my conservative uncle, Emma, you showed more courage than most people ever will. Looking forward to meeting your girlfriend this weekend. Derek had tried to destroy my reputation, steal my financial future, and isolate me from everyone I cared about. Instead, he'd forced me out of the closet into the arms of people who loved me exactly as I am, gave me the strength to fight back against his escalating crimes, and ultimately led to justice for Crystal Torres and the other women he'd victimized. James, I said, looking at my phone full of supportive messages, I think getting outed by my psycho ex-boyfriend was the best thing that ever happened to me. I meant every word.